If we survey the world carefully, without bias, we see many different languages and cultures and social historical circumstances. One person grows up in South LA, becomes a gang member, and dies young. Another grows up street poor in Palm Bay, finds a way to obtain an education of sorts, and ends up working as a telephone clerk, serving Western businesses, all the while raising a family. I could go on, but the important point is to recognize that each unique individual also lives within a unique set of social, cultural, political circumstances. Yes, there are many similarities, but once we get into the details, these assumed similarities fail to encompass the true nature of the totality of any individual biography. Part of the inward mental pictures of each individual includes some kind of meaning of the world, both in a personal way and as a recipient of media. That is, most of us live somewhere where we acquire, through mediated processes, that is, through the stories of others, mental pictures of what the rest of the world is like, and how our part of the world fits into the larger whole, that is, its meaning. Shakespeare took hold of this in a rather pithy but one-sided fashion when he wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." As we each have a different mental picture of the wider world and its meaning, and how that relates to our personal existence and meaning, we will behave in accord with those mental pictures, and as well due to and out of our individual nature. All the same, we do share certain very special elements of this structure or order to and in the world. The surrounding circumstances of each biography are a sea of troubles. Again, Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep. Each unique individual is embedded in certain fires of experience, the sea of troubles, which causes them to have to make certain choices. The sea of troubles doesn't cause the choices themselves. We still choose or are free to choose. But the necessity of choosing, that is caused by the sea of troubles. But often such choices can be seen to be similar. They are, if we carefully observe the details as against the superficial similarities. Each choice is unique as well. While all abortions and all murders seem to be similar acts, the context and meaning in which any individual carries out such actions is unique. Yet so-called Christians judge others, not having learned to practice the teaching of the beam and the mote, and form mobs as well, and then throw stones, having determined someone else is not as morally perfect as are they. But even this flaw and the related mob action are also an example of the fire of all biographies today, because a major cause of this fire belongs to us. Our actions, the consequences of our choices, produce effects, and the effects on others come back toward us, just as the folk wisdom has it, what goes around comes around. The whole world burns in a sea of troubles, and seeing this rapidly destructive sea, many Christians, with a little justification, believe this is the end times. The world does burn, but when our view of this burning lacks the skill and practice of mastering the beam and the mote, our mental pictures of the meaning of this burning will be distorted by our own beam. Acting on the world through this beam will contribute to the general social conflagration. We only can come to the cognition of the truth of this situation by learning to overcome the beam in our own mind's eye, overcome the semi-conscious judgmental feelings by which we see the world according to our own biases. Everywhere we see, in the stories mediated by the news sources, the consequences of the beam of judgment of all of us, as this judgment creates more problems than it solves. The political life in America, with its blogs and its tea parties and its shouting heads on cable television and its Christian rights groups and its liberal knee-jerk groups, all this chaos and confusion of different screaming voices and points of view is born in the beam of judgment. How did this baptismal fire arise? Christ also said, "I come not to bring peace, but a sword, to separate father from son and mother from daughter." He did this by giving us individuality, by creating us unique and supporting us in being unique. By his sword of the gift of uniqueness, he divides us into individuals, and by the fire born in our conflict, generated by our individuality and its unredeemed judgments born in the beam, we are then faced with the trials of the times. These trials are threefold in their nature. The first comes from our reactions to the nearby conditions of our biography, our work life, our family life, our economic life, all our intimate social relations. This is the intimate element of our portion of the sea of troubles. The second comes from our reactions to the stage setting in which our biography arises. This perception of the stage setting, of the meaning of present-day historical events, is rooted in our own judgments and understanding of the world. We have created mental pictures of the world about which we have deep feelings. In acting and choosing concerning what we see as modern historical events, as well as what we see of our intimate social relations, we tend to join groups. We seek like-minded communities for mutual support. We join churches, political parties, the army. We give money to Doctors Without Borders. We serve in helping the homeless. We join survivalist militias. The choices are endless. The third trial concerns our inwardness. We have thoughts about which we can be obsessive. We have feelings to which we can become attached and won't let go. We have impulses of will that we do not restrain. The beam is rooted in this inwardness with the same tenacity as the roots of a well-formed and very vital tree. It is no accident Christ speaks of this as a beam or a log, that is, as wooden.